Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Doors. My name's Cory and I am here with Michelle Castle. Today we are talking about homeowners insurance here in the great state of Texas. We're going to talk about what you should be aware of, how it could affect your monthly payment, and definitely some tips on how to make sure that you are properly covered and all that good stuff. Now, neither one of us are insurance agents, but we have some great friends who are, and they're always updating us on what's going on in the insurance market, homeowners insurance market, and we want to bring you all some of that information. And so, Michelle, let's get right into it. One of the stats that some of our friends have shared with us is that from 2023 to 2024, we saw a significant increase in premiums for homeowners insurance. And one comment you made before we started recording was how that is not necessarily reflected in some of the more common real estate websites that have their mortgage calculator tacked on there, like Zillow, Realtor.com. It'll show the price of the house. It'll show, here's what your estimated taxes are. It's always incorrect. And here's what your estimated insurance is.
It's
also
always correct.
Also always incorrect. So let me look at this. This number was, so in 2023 in Texas, the average cost of homeowners insurance was $3,875 a year. And the average in 2024 went up to $4,142 a year just for your average, average policy premium. Now, that in Texas, that is a 66%, or Texas is 66% higher than the national average. It's a great place to live. We have a lot of great things going on in Texas. We do have some weather that sometimes, causes people to need to file claims. And that's led to, I think, higher premiums in recent years.
Yeah, I have people ask they're moving from out of state.
Yeah.
The first question I always ask them, do you know how much our property taxes are? Do you know how much we pay in insurance, the average insurance? And when you think about it, Texas is so big.
Right.
We have hurricanes. We have high winds. We have flooding waters because we have flash flood rains.
Yep.
We have hail often. And now, like 9-10 months out of the year, we could have a hailstorm.
Yeah.
And we have freezes that oftentimes we're not prepared for.
Right.
And water damage, busted pipes. What am I missing?
Tornadoes.
And tornadoes, of course.
Texas is great, though. It really is a great place to live.
It's like I had another set of friends that were moving in from another state, and they're like, "What? How many poisonous snakes do y'all have?" And I'm like, "A lot."
All of them are here in Texas, pretty much.
We're tougher in Texas. That's right. So all of that factors in. I mean, that's all a loss for the insurance companies, and so we pay when we have those. Now, I've also heard from our friends in the insurance business that last year and this year, we're making up for all of the losses that we had in 2022 when we had, was it 2022 we had that big freeze?
I believe so.
Whenever it was that we had the big freeze.
Yeah, because that's the one where everybody was completely unprepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, again, Texas is a great state. But we shouldn't see that significant increase after 2025.
Right.
So
now,
hopefully that'll level out.
Right. And one of the things going back to, homeowners being prepared on what their actual monthly mortgage payment is going to look like, when you're on Zillow and you punch in the sales price for a $450,000 home, they're going to give you, like, for taxes, they're going to say $1,500 a year. For insurance, they're going to say $1,500 a year. And those numbers are just not accurate. And so, Texas doesn't have a state income tax, but we do have, higher property tax. And that's one thing that if you're moving out of state, people just don't factor in. We are talking about insurance, so I'll try and stick to that. But, whenever it comes to shopping for a home, let's say there's 3 or 4 houses that a buyer is interested in. I think you and I both agree they should probably go ahead and talk to an insurance agent.
Talk to an insurance agent
and about that specific home. Not, I've got some buyers who are like, well, can you give me a ballpark of what it's going to cost if I'm looking to purchase between 450 and 500, if that's my price range. They can give you an estimate, but there's so many other factors that go into it. Number one, they've got to look at your credit. Number two, they've got to look at the claim history on the home. Are there other factors other than just, has the roof been replaced in the past, 5 years or whatever? And there's just so much that goes into it that can really affect a buyer's monthly payment. And so we both agree, just go ahead and
just get a quote.
Yeah.
And the lender's quote isn't the quote. And I see that often, like people will come to us and go, well, the payment's so much cheaper if I go with XYZ.
Right.
Well, let me see the payment breakdown. Because the payment is, they're estimating taxes and insurance. And I know loan officers in Texas that they're not going to estimate $4,100 on a $250,000 house.
Yeah.
And so it's all in those estimates. The payment, the only thing that for sure the payment will be is the principal and interest in any mortgage insurance you're paying.
Right.
You need to, and then the property taxes, obviously, the tax rate for the county and the city that you're looking in.
Right.
That's easy to calculate. Insurance, you need to get a quote.
Right. Exactly. And that's one thing that in years past, I feel like buyers I had buyers like the morning of closing getting an insurance binder and it's like, oh yeah, don't worry about insurance. It's going to be what it's going to be. Yeah. But that is one thing right now that can make or break a deal for some buyers. And you want to know that, I think, before you get into the process, as opposed to you're a week out from closing and it's like, oh yeah, I should probably get insurance because it's required. And, I'm getting a mortgage on the home.
That same $450,000 house, if I was putting an estimate together, I would be doing it off of a $6,000 insurance estimate, insurance premium. But if it's a brand new construction, that $450,000 house could be insured for $2,400.
Exactly.
I don't know, and you don't know. Whenever I do a pre-approval and I say, "Hey, you're good to go up to $450," I don't know the age of the house, the location of the house, and neither do you.
The age of the roof,
the age of the roof, the claim history. So I'm just using a generic figure.
Right.
And until you find the house, you don't know what that payment's going to be because it's just going to vary so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So back to your point, going online and shopping for a house to get an idea what you can buy and the price range is great, but you need to know what you may not know about the cost, the full housing cost, and insurance is a big part of that.
Yeah. Another thing that they had mentioned to us was, just in some of the changes we've seen, is a lot of carriers are now going up to a 2% deductible.
Yes.
And one thing, this is just a tip for any homeowner out there, anybody who's got insurance, which everybody should have insurance. These are major assets that you want to have insured. I see people who are cutting coverage. They're really cheaping out on, they're getting a cash value policy when they really should have replacement costs, stuff like that. I see that all the time whenever we're going to sell a house and, turns out the seller had a hailstorm 3 years ago. They never had it looked at. And then now they're going to get the roof replaced because it has to be done for the new buyer to get insurance.
And it's depreciated.
And so then that becomes a whole nother factor that we have to get into. And it's like, oh, well, whenever we renewed our policy last year, we went to a cash value. So I'm getting, $6,000 to replace a $20,000 roof or whatever. And so I just want to caution people about that while we're on the topic of insurance. Yes, you want to shop. Yes, you want to save money where you can, but you don't want to do it at the expense of getting like poor coverage and just, being underinsured, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about it. So I really like to meet with my customers once a year and go over, what's changed in your personal finances. How's the house functioning for you? Do we need to make any adjustment or changes? Do you need any, just the whole annual review, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the questions I ask is, how long has it been since you've talked to your insurance agent? And do you really know what your coverage is? And if you were to have all of these standard, normal claims, what you'd be out of pocket and what your insurance would cover.
Right.
And if you're not asking those questions at renewal, because honestly, some people are allowing their insurance agent to choose the policy for the renewal without ever asking any questions.
I see it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So the deductible could have changed, like you said, in order to hit that price point. They may go to ACV instead of
replacement
full
costs.
coverage,
Yeah.
replacement costs. And so you got to know what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And that's not always the cheapest policy in the moment.
Yeah.
In order to qualify for the house, because if you can't qualify whenever there's a claim, and it's not if there's a claim, if you've owned the home for a little while, there will be a claim.
Something's going to happen.
Something will
Hopefully
happen.
not, but
Yeah. It's
hope
so
for the
common.
best, be prepared for the worst.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about how many water heaters and AC units are in the ceilings.
Yeah.
And in our high humidity, AC unit drains clog. And you end up with water, and if you're not home when that happens, and you've got a big problem, will your insurance cover it? And if so, what will it cost you?
Yeah.
I think those are really important questions. So back to the whole insurance thing is, yes, it's expensive, but it's a lot more expensive to not have coverage and to not know what your coverage is.
Yeah. And there's just a ton of things that buyers can do, or homeowners and buyers can do to be proactive. Like we said, number one, if you're shopping, go ahead and talk to an agent. Number two, if you're a homeowner, have that annual review. I mean, I think they should be talking to their mortgage lender, about things that have changed, but
and their insurance agent.
Definitely their insurance agent. Like that needs to be because so many things can change in the course of a year that you need to make sure you're covered. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people will get their roof replaced and then their agent doesn't make any adjustments to the fact that they've got a new roof when they could be getting a discount for that. I don't know, maybe you build an addition, you hadn't told your insurance agent, and you've just got this $50,000 addition that's uninsured. Or
you have a swimming pool and you forgot to tell your agent you got a swimming pool.
Yeah, many things like that. So definitely, any major changes with your house or the structure or anything like that, talk to your agent, see what their thoughts are.
Which reminds me of, you can call an 800 number, and yes, you could go online and get insurance. But I think you and I both are a big believer that just stay local and have a relationship with the people that you're doing business with.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Well, that's all we have for today on all things homeowners insurance. Maybe not all things, but just some good tips to keep in mind. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of Unlocking Doors. Be sure and share this with a friend, subscribe to our channel, and we will catch you guys on the next episode.